Thank you very much, Mr. Jack Lowe. Thank you for being here on the BoxingBar.com and welcome.
Oh, my privilege.
First of all, let's get to know you a little bit. Where were you born and raised?
Youngstown, Ohio.
What was it like being raised there out of a legendary place like that, especially for boxing?
Yeah, and it is a little, we got, now, 5 world champs out of this small little town here, and a lot of contenders that came through here. You know what, Youngstown growing up, probably for the first 15, 16 years, it was just a blue-collar town, everybody working, steel mills going strong, General Motors, things like that. And, then we started losing the jobs, and the area got really rough. There's a lot of bad areas throughout Youngstown, a lot of depression, houses down, but, it's everybody here works. It's a hard-working town still.
I remember watching a documentary on, I believe it was Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and I remember they were saying that there was a lot of people that were leaving town because of all the jobs being lost, all the car companies being closed down, and there was even bumper stickers at one point saying something like, last person to leave Youngstown, turn the lights off, or something like that.
I'm sure there was, but when the steel mills closed, you're probably talking 30,000 jobs or more, just steel plants alone, and the auto industry. So we got hit real hard.
What were you like growing up as a kid?
Nah, I got in a lot of trouble. Really active. Loved football. Played since I was in the 5th grade. Made All-State running back. Ended up going to Southern Colorado University on a football scholarship. Tore my knee up. But I love the contact sports. I loved boxing all the time, but football was my passion, and just a little bit too small for football. It just didn't work out. And then with the knee injuries, and I'd love to stay active. Love to play football in the streets. Just always love to stay active. Even when we were little kids, kick the can. Anything to just keep running.
What was your relationship with your parents or your siblings in your household at that time?
My parents got divorced young. I think I was in the 4th or 5th grade, and they got divorced. And we seen our dad quite often. He had a good job. He was an engineer, a very good job, and that. And then my mom went to work, and of course she raised us. But I have one sister. She's 4 years older than me. We got along great. We had no problems. Like I said, back then growing up, it was almost like the Cleavers. It was just. You can run out your back doors, leave your doors open. Everything was, great. Everything. It was real easy to be easy and real easy to be nice. It was, everything was good. So I had a really good upbringing.
You brought up your football background. What were your first memories of boxing?
Yeah, you know what? I loved boxing because I loved the contact sport. My grandfather used to run all the concession stands for a place called Stambaugh Auditorium, and they was the only place in town that used to hold all the closed circuit TVs, it was called at the time. Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, when they put it on closed circuit, you had to go somewhere and pay to get in. Well, my grandfather used to have all the concessions, so he'd get us in the back doors, and we used to go watch all them fights. And actually, I got into boxing a little bit through my sister's boyfriend, Lenny Villers, which was a real good amateur boxer around here. And, going to local gyms. Plus, I hung out with Ray Mancini since the 5th grade. We, played football and that together. And Harry Arroyo was one of my boyhood friends that we ran around with. So, there was a lot of boxing involved around my life.
Knowing that, and especially you hanging around with Ray Mancini and knowing your town had a history there of boxing, how did you yourself get into boxing?
Just actually went to the gym one day with Harry Roy. Actually took me down to Ed Sullivan's gym, and that was a gym where all the Villers brothers and Harry Roy, Ray Mancini, Roland Cummings, everybody worked down in that gym. There was probably 10 gyms around this area at the time, and it was all crowded. We had a great Golden Gloves around here, and just started going to the gym. But I was like a part-time amateur fighter because I loved playing football, and that took up months and months out of the year. So I was a part-time fighter. Listen, wasn't no good. I just loved to fight, and I had some fun in the novice division, 1 or 2 years in the open division. But I knew it wasn't going to be inside the ring wasn't going to be a career for me. And then I got involved with Eddie Sullivan and helping him out a little bit, and then I just went out on my own.
By going out on your own, do you mean did you like spar there? Were you a person that helped with the maintenance there, or what did you do there in the gym?
Yeah, well, Ed was getting a little older, and same thing every other little trainer does. Just try to listen to him and learn everything you could, learn how to wrap the hands, listen to what they do and say in the corner, take little bits from everybody, and I still do that. You'll never stop learning, and just Eddie was getting older, and then I'd start taking some of the amateurs, the younger kids on different tournaments, to the Ohio State Fair and things like that, and then Eddie got real old, and he closed his gym, and then I opened up the Southside Boxing Club.
As someone that followed boxing like you did at that time, and hanging around with these boxers and at the gyms? Who were some of the guys that you used to like watching on TV?
I love the middleweight division. Hagler's, Vito Antuofermo. Them guys. We loved used to watch the Olympics. They used to show so much of it. The '76 Olympics. I remember they showed Ray Leonard and them all the time. I mean, love to get together with some of my buddies that love the boxing and watch some of them over the Olympics and that. But it was great. CBS Sports on Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, NBC. Everything. It was just. And that's when there one, two divisions, and you had to fight the best out there to get that title.
And how did your career start as a trainer, or when did you start looking forward to maybe training or doing something a little closer to the boxers or to the boxing community there, or for the boxing community there in Youngstown?
Yeah, well, I opened up my first gym in, I believe it was '88, the end of '80, October of '88, and was looking for a little storefront, found one, rented it off the guy. We went in, built a floor ring, had some posts made from a local welder around here, and and we just bought a bunch of equipment. Ran a few amateur shows right away, and tried to raise some money, but most of it was out of pocket money. A lot of trainers that open up a gym, that's what they do, and it's a thankless job. At the beginning, I mean, you spend a ton of money, and people think you don't, and it's very, very expensive to run a gym like that. And but it was fun. It's been a hell of an experience.
When you open up a gym like that, is there any funding of like from the outside, or do you think someone can go and get funding or monies or some kind of a sponsorship from the outside to help out?
It's tough now. Back in the day around here, they had like the Buckeye Elks, which was sponsored by this group around here called the Buckeye Elks organization. They had the Minor Community Center, which was out of a community center over on the east side, and Navy Reserve Center where Harry Roy and them used to train. They had their gym inside of a naval reserve base actually here in Youngstown, and so there were a lot of sponsored gyms at the time back then. And that's most of the gyms were sponsored. Nowadays, very, very few gyms are sponsored. You may get a break here or there if somebody owns the building that they like you on your rent, or but it's tough. It's tough to keep gyms open because not many community centers are even open. And the word boxing with the community center anymore, the way lawsuits and everything is, it's tough for anybody to want to affiliate their name with with a boxing program. If they would only listen and learn how safe amateur boxing is, and I think we can get across to some people how safe it is and how important it is to some of these inner city kids. I think there should be some more organizations that can help some people open up some gyms, but it's tough out there trying to run a gym.
Yeah, I agree with you very much, especially like you said in the inner cities where there's a lot of crimes and kids growing up and seeing that and wanting to do that. Boxing guides them in a different situation. It shows them discipline and respect and all that stuff. And I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You opened up your gym there. What were your personal goals of what you wanted to accomplish by opening this gym?
Nothing. It was a hobby. You know what I mean? I loved boxing. I loved working with young kids. We actually became a pretty popular gym. There were no gyms on the south side, and I didn't even realize what the hell I was getting into. And the first gym we opened, I mean, we became crowded, right? Within 3 weeks, we went from 1 kid to 5 kids to 10 kids to 20 kids. And I was like, wow. And it was still a hobby. It was fun. I mean, I took these kids to every tournament you could think of. That's what I thought you had to do, and here I am. I mean, I'm at all these tournaments. I get every show fight. I don't care how far we had to drive, Disney World, whatever we had to do, and that's what I thought you had to do, and then I figured out, man, this is expensive, but it was a blast. It was probably the most funnest part of boxing, just traveling around with these kids, watching them win, even when they lost, just the fun we had. That's what I love, about that part of the boxing and the amateur boxing. There's no pressure. A kid loses a fight, he's a hot dog and a pop away from smiling again, and that's all it is.
Did you have a lot of kids that did stick with it, become pro, or become a high ranked amateur?
Yeah, well, for a while, yeah, I had a kid named James McClendon, which was a very, very good amateur, number 2 in the world. He fought kids back in the day with like Jason Ingle Watson, and there were some really, really good kids like that. Even back in the Evil Elder, and some of them guys back in that era. And James was a very good amateur. He went to Budapest, Hungary, and Thailand to fight. So James traveled all around, and he was probably my first little decorated amateur. I had a kid Craig Kikta, which actually fought David Diaz in amateurs and beat him in the Region 5 championships one year. So yeah, we had a pretty good group of guys. Kelly did real well in amateurs for us. I won 3, 4 national titles. I got a little Hispanic kid right now that is very good. He just won the PAL tournament, and so no, I've always actually been fortunate. I've actually had a bunch of good kids in the gym. Obviously Kelly went on to do the went the furthest for me. I mean, you can't go no much further than a world title, but I've had probably 5, 6 national champions. Junior Olympic champions. So, and it's been fun.
What do you think of these new kids coming out not having as much of an amateur experience as they used to back in the day? And what do you think of that?
Well, you know what? I think some of these guys that have 2, 3, 400 amateur fights, I think that's where they leave it at. I've seen a couple of some of the greatest amateur. Ricardo Williams. Ricardo Williams. He was one of the greatest amateur fighters. He mastered that point system. The pros never really worked out for him. I don't know if he ever got out of that amateur style. Owen McPherson, another great amateur that came out of the Cleveland area, 6'2", 6'3", boy, could just master the point system. Couldn't get out of that amateur style. I think once you get, you come up from 8 years old and you get programmed into that style, and listen, get there, try it. If it's Olympics, this, that, don't get moving, get going. You don't need 400 or 500 amateur fights. Sometimes I just think it's way too much. Some of these kids, 15 fights is way too less. Is 45 fights enough? Who knows? But I just think some of these kids have way too many amateur fights, and they take. It's just I just think the amateur part sticks with them.
Yeah, what's weird is I was talking about I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was thinking the '76 Olympics, all the gold medalists that came out of there that went on to become big names. In '80, also '84, of course, had the dream team with Holyfield and Mildred Taylor and so on and so forth. '88 also had a lot of great fighters that came out of the Olympics, and Carbajal and Roy Jones Jr. and Riddick Bowen. Same thing. '92 Oscar and everybody else. '96, of course, had Fernando Vargas from here. Mayweather was from there. Antonio Tarver, so on. Once you got to 2000, it was the first Olympics that there was no gold medalists there, and I don't know how many years, how many decades. 2004 and 2008, we might have had one, but they haven't gone on to become big, except Andre Ward. But do you think that is a reason for not having a great amateur or extensive amateur career?
Yeah, I just think the amateur boxing is so political anymore, and there's so many strange rules, and there's so many things that these kids got to go by, and there's really no gratitude for winning any of this stuff. And I think these young kids they win a national title or two, and a manager comes after them and hooks them up with a promotional company, and they're off and running. It's real easy right now, and our boxing, USA Boxing, they make it so hard for a kid to go to the Olympics. It used to be you won the Olympic trials, you went to the Olympics. Now you win the Olympic trial, you take that kid at 108 pounds that just got dismissed from the U.S. Championships because he got sick. Now here's a kid that won the Olympic trials, and because he didn't finish 8th or whatever it was in the World Championships, he can't go to the Olympics, and he got sick, so he couldn't go to this tournament, and he's out. But he won the Olympic trials. It just doesn't seem fair. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think a lot of kids are turning pro quicker. They get bad decisions, and they just, they don't get along with the way USA Boxing rules are. And, how many times are you going to fight for trophies? If you're a good fighter, go make some money.
Right. I was talking to Angel Bojado, who was the little brother of Francisco Panchito Bojado from back in the 2000 Olympics.
Right.
And
right.
he was blowing up, or he's going to become a pro. He's going to make his pro debut hopefully any week or month now. Of course, he's barely going to be becoming a professional fighter. We're talking about the amateur fights, and he was saying pretty much exactly what you said. It's a lot of political bullshit, and it's true. And all these judges, they don't understand when they, a lot of these judges, they have families or relatives or whatever that are fighting, and they, a lot of times it messes up the decision, let's say. And
Absolutely.
These kids, they don't understand what they're doing to these kids' dreams. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, they're messing with their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
so, I mean, they look at it like just a decision that, just a point or two that they just take away or not. But it's their whole lives, like you said. I mean, once you knock that out of their kid, that kid could turn around and never want to box again when he could have been a future world champion.
Yeah, and you got a kid that maybe should have won that national tournament, and he should have been a representative, and he gets that big contract, and he's the one that deserves it. But because politically he didn't get to go to that tournament, or you screwed him out of a decision because you wanted this guy to go, it cost this kid a fortune, probably. And it's happened.
Right, and he could have been a gold medalist.
Yeah, and and those are the only ones that make the money. And when kids know that, oh man, listen, they want these people to go, they want this kid to go. I don't have a chance. Once you get that in your head, you could forget about it. They're going to turn pro.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. So you brought up Kelly Pavlik and him of course becoming your biggest star. How did you meet him? How did that happen?
No, he was a little 9-year-old kid, and it was between boxing and karate. And karate's very expensive. Monthly dues, and you got to buy equipment and this and that. And boxing, you buy your boxing license. We've never charged a gym dues or anything, and and that's how we met. He just came in the gym as everybody else did, walked through the front door and wanted to box.
As a trainer, what would you say is your biggest strengths, and what do you try to instill in your trainees' heads or minds?
You know what? Patience. I think I'm a great motivator. I think the biggest thing that young kids got to learn when they get in the ring is patience. And I know it's tough as an amateur because you only got 3 or 4 rounds to do it. But I think as soon as a kid learns patience in the ring, I think that starts to complete him as a fighter. So I start that in him as a young age, and sometimes it helps him and sometimes it don't because, like I said, in amateurs, you really got to get going. And when you try to teach patience, some kids take it too far and are too patient. So. But I think I'm a great motivator, and and I work hard at it, and I spend a lot of time with these kids.
Your motivation made Kelly Pavlik a complete fighter. It later on made him a world champion. How did you feel at that moment when his hand was raised and he became a world champion? As a trainer and as someone that grew up with him, that made him into a man, how did that feel at that moment when you finally achieved his dream and your dream as a trainer? How did that feel at that moment when he was raising that belt?
Oh, it was great, man. It was one of the greatest feelings in the world, especially, after being down in the second round. And, you just see everything shattered in front of your face. And it's like, oh, God, everybody, what they said, here it comes. And, then Kelly got up off the canvas and he just fought his ass off. And, and I kept seeing him getting stronger and stronger even throughout that round. And when he came back to the corner, I asked him if he was hurt. And he said, nah, man. He goes, just as soon as my legs catch up to me, I'm going to be okay. And I told him, man, go across that ring and just got to take it back to him, Cal. I said, if you're really okay in the head, I said, you really got to go after this kid. And he did, And then actually, like afterward, I remember Manny Stewart told me, he goes, I knew we were screwed when Kelly came out the third round the way he did. He goes, I looked at Ozell and I told him, I said, we got problems, And when Kelly did that in the 7th round, man, it was the greatest feeling in the world.
Now, when he won that title, obviously anybody that just watches boxing would have just saw somebody winning the world title. But for somebody that knows boxing, they saw that a title was brought to a historical city again, Youngstown. You kept it alive, or both of you guys kept it alive. How did that feel for you and for your community? How were you accepted back in Youngstown with the world title that next day?
Oh, it was big. I mean, we got a police, fire truck, ambulance escort in from the Pittsburgh airport. I mean, we had probably like a 20-car caravan, with all sirens, and they drove almost all the way from the PA Ohio line with us. And they had a big parade for Kelly, and a big thing downtown, thousands and thousands of people. I mean, everything couldn't have been greater. And they received us, all of Team Pavlik, very well. And it was great. There was a new star born in town, and he deserved it. He fought very well that night, and he deserved that world title. And it was great. It was a great run while we did it, and there was no regrets.
Towards his last few fights there, he started looking like he was on the decline, and he was no longer the Kelly Pavlik that we once saw, like when he beat Jermaine Taylor. What did you think of his last, let's say, 2-3 fights?
I'm not going to talk much about what went on with me and Kelly or what happened with Kelly. I just think it was obvious that there was some problems going on, that needed to be addressed. And, and it showed in our fights, but that's about it.
You obviously know him as a family member, and, he was very close to you, obviously. Did you see what happened in him leaving there and coming here to Oxnard? Did you see that coming, or did that come straight out of left field for you?
You know what? Cameron Duncan and Mike Pavlik was always trying to get Kelly and myself apart, and you know what? I think they just preyed on a kid that was desperate at the moment. And you know what? Listen, it is what it is. I wish Kelly nothing but the best. Robert Garcia is a great young trainer, and he's doing a lot of good with some kids out there. The bottom line is Kelly's got to do the right thing while he's out there. And if he does, like I said, I wish him the best. Hope the kid wins another world title. I really do. We had our run at it. We both made a lot of money out of it. And, I got some good fighters out of it. And I move on and he moves on. And it's really not a big deal no more. I wish it, like I said, again, I wish him the best.
And Mr. Lowe, do you really think he wanted to leave you anyways in the first place? Do you really think that he wanted to leave you, or do you think he might just wanted to leave the environment because of maybe what he was getting into, whatever habits or whatever he was getting into, or did maybe he just wanted place to go to with new faces, and he knew you probably wouldn't leave your situation to come train with him over here, and maybe that's why he did what he did. Did you think like he really did want to leave you in the first place?
No, absolutely not. But there was a lot of scenarios that he could have stayed, and again, that's a decision Kelly made. That's the kid you're going to have to ask, not me. I have no hard feeling towards the kid. Like I said, I'm moving on with my career, and so is he, I guess. So again, all he's got to do is do the right thing, and the kid still has a whole lot of talent left in him.
If he decides to, let's say it doesn't work out here for him for whatever reason, he decides to want to go back and train back in your Southside gym there, would you accept him back?
You know what? Kelly and I would have to talk about something like that. Who knows if there was too much said on both sides. You know what? There's certain people within his camp that I probably could never work with again. And, I just hope he succeeds. I really do believe this could be a last chance thing for him. So, listen, they made the decision, and he and everybody's got to live with it. And, chips fall where they may. We just got to find out what the end result's going to be.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen between you guys professionally, but I wish personally, hopefully in the future you guys at least come to some kind of agreement or a happy conclusion. I'm hoping the best for you guys.
Sure. Who knows?
And from what you've seen or heard from people, of course, from around Youngstown, are they more saddened or upset that Kelly left in the first place?
You know what? I really don't pay attention to what people say or think. Sure, people are going to say, "Oh, I can't believe he left you. I can't believe." Listen, it's not like he left me. We both left on a mutual agreement. He didn't come to me. I had to call him, or I had to get a hold of him, or I had to go to the paper and say, this was it between me and Kelly. But listen, whoever left you, that's not a big deal. You know what? And as far as the people here in Youngstown, you got people that are his side and my side, and as far as I'm concerned, there are no sides. It happened. It's over with. It's not a big deal no more. Like it happens every day in coaching. Happens in professional football, college football, baseball, basketball. If you can't learn to deal with something like that in this sport or any other sport, you got problems. And was it tough at first? Man, oh my God, I lost my main horse. But hey, the Pavlik era was going to end one day. I didn't think it was going to end like this or this soon, but you knew it was going to end. Kids can't fight forever, and kids aren't going to be around forever. And people change trainers, so you got to have a little thick skin in this business, and life goes on.
That's the right mindset to have as a trainer as well. I've seen Kelly around, and he trains with guys around here like Roger Romo, who's Fernando Vargas' brother, and so he's doing really good, and he's looking very sharp, to tell you the truth. And again, a lot of that, is because of you.
I appreciate it, but listen, he's got to do the right thing, and I think you know what I'm talking about, and I've always said him, if it takes him going out of town for the kid to get healthy and do the right thing, then God bless him, I wish him the best, because could have been heading for disaster around here, and maybe the best thing he did was leave here.
And back to you and the South Side, the boxing club. Do you have any like big prospects coming up and big fighters coming up, and hopefully that we're all going to see on national TV or cable TV?
Yeah, well, actually, Danny Williams. I got Danny Williams, which will be fighting Hank Lundy, March 30th for the NABF Championship on ESPN. There'll be a main event on ESPN. Working with a kid named Brendan Bennett. Kid's 13-0. He's out of Cincinnati. He started actually come up here as a sparring partner with Danny, get him ready for the fight, and really liked it up here and liked working with me. So he's probably going to be staying up here and working with us, and most likely Steve Smith from Rumble Time and Lou DiBello will be signing this kid. Working with Willie Nelson, which is Willie Nelson is 17 or 18-1. He's 6'3", 6'3" and a half, 154 pounder. He's a real nice fighter. And I got that young kid. He's 17 years old, Alejandro Salinas. He's extremely one of national POW and everything. He's really, really fine little fighter. Going to be a much better pro fighter than an amateur. Big banger as an amateur kid, and that's rare. So, listen, things are going good. Like I said, got a lot of kids in the gym, and just keep plugging away every day, just like every other trainer does.
And you guys had a fight card not too long ago. I think a few weeks back. I remember seeing that. I think I'm one of your friends on Facebook there, and I saw you guys were posting that you guys had some fights coming up, or you guys were throwing a fight there. How did that go?
Oh, great. We actually did. It was Ohio versus Canada, and we brought a team in from Canada. Sid Vanderpool brought some guys down. The show went great. I mean, probably had 700, 800 people there. Sold a bunch of corporate tables. It was a real nice night. We had, I think, 15 bouts. The kid I was telling you about, that Salinas kid, he ended up beating the national champion from Canada. So it was a great night. We had a really good show.
Do you guys have more cards coming up?
Oh yeah, well we got our Golden Gloves coming up all of April. Like I said, I got Danny fighting at the end of March. Got the Golden Gloves in all the first 3 weeks of April. Then I have Willie Nelson fighting on Showbox April 27th, and then the National Golden Gloves start April 28th. So then probably do a show right before the summer starts, probably the end of March, end of May around here again, and then you got all the tournaments, ringside tournaments throughout the summer, the PAL tournaments coming up, the under 19. So then I have an asphalt sealing business, so just try to stay real busy.
Once it's all said and done, how does Mr. Jack Lowe want to be remembered?
I think of as a fair guy. I know I'm kind of hot-headed, and but I tell it like it is, and I'd rather be told like it is. I don't like secrets. I don't like talking behind people's backs. So, I think I'm pretty straight shooter with people, but I'm a very fair person, and I guess I'm kind of person you either love me or hate me, and I think I've been pretty fair to a lot of people, but hard worker. Nobody can ever say I'm not a hard worker in everything I do. So, I'm just fine. I hope I don't go for a while. People got to remember me like that. But, just like that. I think I'm a pretty fair guy to people, and I'm a very trustworthy person and a very loyal person, very loyal to my friends.
Well, Mr. Lowe, I like you, and I very much appreciate how you're keeping the history of Youngstown alive by doing all this, doing it for the kids, and doing it for all the up and comers that do have dreams to go to the Olympics. I praise that, and anybody that helps out the community, and anybody that helps out the history of the sport.
I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate the interview.
Thank you very much, and hopefully we could do another interview, hopefully maybe before one of your next cards.
I'll tell you what, after Danny knocks out Hank London, give me a call.
We'll do that, Mr. Lowe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.